holistic sense translates into having healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. And it is in the balance of these three elements that we are being well. And this is all true. The world's view of wellness centers around risk factors, behavior change, lifestyle, health. It is considered an active process where people become conscious of and then make better choices towards a more successful existence. And this, again, is all true and good. There's nothing incorrect about these perspectives of wellness. But I do believe that a Christian should have a little bit different perspective here. A part of Christian wellness includes worship to God and service to your neighbor. It is a part of our vocation. It should be a part of our vocation. This means it is a part of our mission and our purpose for life. It is who we are and who we want to become. The reasons for this are that Christians are and should be motivated differently to be well. Think about it this way. We are motivated by the love of God. Our lives are and should be lived in thankfulness to that love. Wellness is or should be part of our vocation. It is who we are, it is who we strive to be, and what we do in our daily walk with Christ. Our goal as Christians should be to fully worship God with our whole being, be a better servant to our neighbor, and be a better steward of what God has given us. This is what makes up Christian wellness. But of course, we all sin. We have to throw in that sin aspect. We are not perfect. Our peace is incomplete in this earthly life. We will have bumps in the road and we will need help in this area, but I think we all know wellness is a journey and it is not a destination. It is something that we need to keep working on, striving for, and aiming to do better at all the time. Now, since I teach exercise science courses, I get to focus on the physical aspects of health and wellness. I get the opportunity to talk with my students about how to care for these amazing bodies that God has given us and how we can teach others to use them for His good. We get to focus on muscles and bones and movements and exercise and muscle physiology and other fun physical aspects of wellness. And having the privilege to teach at a Christian college has given me the added opportunity to get to make connections between our physical aspects of health and wellness to our spiritual wellness. Now, Trinity Christian College believes and then supports this in our mission statement. I have a aspect of that on the slide there, that education of the whole person is important, and that includes the student as a thinking, feeling, and believing creature. That is holistic wellness. It covers all three parts. And this involves nurturing and strengthening our whole selves as an important aspect for better service to God and His community. So my students and I get to make the connections of our bodies being the temple of God and how we must honor God with our bodies, the usual Bible verses that are used in our discipline in 1 Corinthians 6. My classes often talk about this amazing gift that God has given us and how important it is for us to take care of it and to help others learn how to take care of it too. Now, a significant part of taking care of our bodies, of course, is physical activity and movement. But when one researches the physical activity patterns of the general public across their lifespan, one finds that college students are more obese and less active than high school students. And this is mostly because these students are either reducing or abandoning physical activity at some point before or during their college years. A significant factor here is that physical activity patterns are set in adolescence and often decline throughout their teenage years, with a significant drop in the transition from high school to college. Now, when I talk with my PE teacher ed students and my exercise science students about the importance of making physical activity fun and achievable for everyone, and how such activity avoids the abandonment of physical activity in adolescence. It's easy to be the PE teacher or personal trainer who works with the athletic kids because those kids want to be there. But these are not the kids who are at risk for the decline in physical activity later in life. It is the kids who are a little less coordinated, who do not make many baskets, who can't throw that far, or who cannot run as easily, who are at risk. This decline is because they did not feel encouraged or were not shown that physical activity can be fun and achievable, so helping them find their motivation is key. Now, it was not until I began my dissertation research that I fully realized the important connections between mental and physical aspects of wellness, which of course brings us to motivation and physical activity. Now, I don't think we can argue that being well requires being motivated. In terms of being motivated to move, to eat well, take care of ourselves, and that motivation can be difficult for some people to find. Being motivated to be physically active is very important for our long-term health, avoidance of disease, improved performance on academics, reduction in anxiety, better time on task, improved attentiveness, improved concentration, weight management, and of course, so many more things. Physical activity requires both intrinsic and extrinsic motivational factors, with intrinsic motivation being the satisfaction of internal rewards, and extrinsic motivation being tangible rewards that exist outside of the individual. Research on what motivates us to be physically active is often based on self-determination theory, which is a theory that helps us better understand the choices we make. Self-determination theory consists of 1, autonomy, where we see ourselves in charge of our behavior; 2, relatedness, where we see ourselves as being socially connected; and 3, competence, feeling able to conquer a challenge. These are considered universal and innate needs. Self-determination theory acknowledges the importance of extrinsic motivation, but it focuses on the importance of being motivated intrinsically, and that people must make their own choices in order to be successful. If these 3 needs are satisfied, there can be optimal function and growth. Therefore, is in the interaction of these 3 basic psychological needs where behaviors can change and regulation of behavior can occur. For example, if students feel autonomous with maybe confidence instilled by a PE teacher or coach, if they feel related, where they're connected to and supported by their classmates or their teammates, and they feel competent with knowledge presented in a fun way by their PE teacher or coach, they will feel that their needs are met, and the probability will increase that we have created a positive health and wellness habit in our students. Isn't that the purpose of our kinesiology-related programs? To teach and instill habits and patterns in our students, our patients, our clients, our athletes, so that they can pass this along to others to be healthy and well also. Now, researching what motivates college students to be physically active for my dissertation resulted in some insights into this topic. I looked at both intrinsic and extrinsic motivational factors for previous high school athletes versus previous high school non-athletes, because the more intrinsically motivated a college student is, the more likely they will participate in physical activity. So I wanted to see what motivated or not our college students to be physically active. The significant intrinsic factors for students on our college campus consisted of challenge, affiliation, revitalization, and enjoyment. What this meant was that students who had previously been athletes wanted to be challenged, which could be a base for competence; that others wanted to belong or be accepted by a group, which connects or relates to relatedness; and that other students wanted to be physically active because it invigorated them, and others just enjoyed moving, which of course shows the fun aspect I have mentioned. The significant extrinsic motivators were competition, social recognition, and strength and endurance. What this meant was that some students wanted to prove themselves against someone else, which may build autonomy, and also wanted to be recognized publicly for it, which of course reflects relatedness. But it also meant that having strength and endurance was important to these students, which was exciting because this influenced fitness center programming for our general student population. Now, physical activity does require both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators in order to create healthy habits, but also to maintain that discipline. So similar to the discipline of a soldier, that's what I think of when I think of that phrase. So it's important to help them find their motivation to be physically active, but it's also important for them to know how to maintain it. Having both intrinsic motivators such as enjoyment, mastery, purpose, and fun, and also extrinsic motivators such as rewards, praise, and prizes will help increase the chances of long-term maintenance. If we can instill these types of motivators in our students at a younger age, or help our students instill them in their students, their chances of being active later in life significantly increase. Onward, Christian soldiers. Physical activity habits are formed early in life, so it's important that educators at all levels understand that how we present physical activity to our students will have a lasting impact on them and their future health and wellness. The more positive we can make their physical activity experience at a young age, and all ages for that matter, the more we will be contributing to the positive development of their autonomy, relatedness, and competence for physical activity in their future, which means they can be healthy and well for life. Fun and successful. I honestly do think that it can be broken down into this simple formula for all ages. Now, I cannot ignore the spiritual wellness aspect of this, but spiritual wellness is going to look very different for every person, as it should. We are all in very different points in our walk with Christ, and that is okay. I tell my students this all the time because I do not want them to think they aren't Christian enough. But I think that we can all look at our own spiritual wellness and find an area where we'd like to see improvement. And it can be simple things such as an improved devotional life, or you find a new devotional book, you take more time for devotions, or even start to prioritize your devotional time, or even using exercise to connect with God, where you take a meditation walk, you pray while you run, you enjoy a hike in nature, you enjoy a quiet time on a bike. Prayer, I think this is something that most Christians would say they need improvement. I know I do. Connecting to God at all times of the day, asking for help, and saying thanks. Or even Bible study, whether this is an organized in your church or on your own, delving into the Word, connecting with it, and developing a deeper understanding of the stories in the Bible makes you appreciate history and what Jesus went through for us. Now, I've said this before, but all wellness is a journey, and spiritual wellness is no exception. The point here is we can all make improvements in all areas of our life, and it just depends on what we consider to be important. Now, I want to show you a couple of things that we have done and are doing on our campus to promote this type of holistic wellness that I'm talking about. The first one is called the Healthy Troll Challenge. We have done some type of fitness and health competition on our campus every spring for the last 10 years. Yes, our mascot is the troll, and it is pretty awesome. The Healthy Troll Challenge consists of doing workouts led by our exercise science and our PE students, with the participants attending our student-led workouts. Or they can take selfies of themselves on the treadmill working out, or they can track their food intake and submit all of those to earn points. In 2019, we did all of these workouts in person, and every year before that. Of course, 2020 was a bust because of this lovely pandemic mess. But then 2021 was, we kind of pivoted a little bit, and we did all workout videos that were posted on social media, where the participants could watch them at their convenience, and then of course they would submit their points virtually. And it worked really well. I was actually very surprised. We had a ton of great feedback. We had a lot of participants, our most participants we've had in many years, and they loved the convenience of being able to do the workouts at home while still feeling like they were working on their own physical wellness. Points were earned to obtain water bottles, t-shirts, duffel bags as prizes, and it was a huge success. We were very excited because our numbers grow a little bit each year, so we plan to continue in this format probably in the future. Now, the second thing is part of a process of restructuring our Gen Ed courses. We now call them our foundations courses, and we have the typical English, history, philosophy, theology in our foundations courses, but we also added and increased the wellness category, as well as adding a thinking and writing, a Chicago Connect, and an interdisciplinary course requirement. I will have the privilege of co-teaching an interdisciplinary inquiry course with one of my site colleagues next spring of 22. This course is going to be called Christianity and the Balanced Life. And you can see the learning outcomes listed here on the slide. which revolve around this description, examining three primary areas of human experience: the mind with its cognitive and emotional processes, the body with its physical processes, and the spirit with regards to spiritual practices and worldview. This interdisciplinary exploration will encourage growth in critical thinking, academic writing, and analyzing what it means to be a holistic person made in the image of God. I'm super excited to teach this course because it will allow us to help students learn more about holistic wellness through the lens of Christianity and vocation. Preparing our students to be servants of Christ now and when they leave our campus is important to us, and this shows in these new foundations changes and the development of this course. So now bringing it back to the song in a little bit of summary here. When I look at the words of this song, you look at verse 1, and Horatio Spafford talks about his sorrows and personal trials, but he ends with his assurance from God. Then verse 2, he goes on to talk about how Satan will tempt us. We will go through tough times, but we are assured of his pain for our sins and his promise of our place in heaven. Then verse 3, he talks about how my sin, all of it, not just parts of it, are nailed to the cross with him because he died for me. I do not have to bear the burden of my sin because he did it for me, and I'm thankful. But then he goes on to verse 4. When we can see the heavens open and Christ come again, can you even imagine the clouds rolling back and the Lord being right there? Oh, what a glorious and peaceful and well day that will be. This song showed Horatio Spafford's faith in God and an unspeakable faith that gave him peace through his hard times. Remember, God gives us peace when we need it, and that peace brought him wholeness and wellness. And it is because of the assurances sang about in these verses that we can have peace and wholeness and wellness. Now, to summarize and hopefully bring this all together for you, we need all three things to be in balance in order to be well. We need our minds to feel the sense of autonomy, relatedness, and competence, and we must include both intrinsic and extrinsic factors for motivation here. We also need to make physical activity fun and successful for all ages. Helping people of all ages enjoy physical activity and not dread it is key here. And then making them feel like they accomplished something, even if that something is very small, it's also very important. And we need to remember that it is our faith in God that will bring about that gift of peace. It is in that gift where we can feel at peace with our circumstances and be assured of our place in heaven. For me, this verse is the best summary. Philippians 4, 6 through 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. What a promise and gift from God that is. This is a reminder to me to not let our minds be anxious, and if we are, bring them to God. And if we are thankful, we will be able to experience a peace that the world cannot give us. And it is when we have faith in him and keep our hearts, minds, and bodies fixed on him that we can be given that gift of peace. Having these three in balance means peace and comfort for all, and it means that each of these are healthy and well. And it means wholeness, and that means wellness. It is my prayer that each and every one of you can truly sing, "It is well with my soul and body and mind." Thank you.
Thank you, Shari. Wonderful. Does anybody have questions or comments for Shari? And if you guys are online, if you want to unmute yourselves, you can do it that way or send it in the chat. Either way.
Hey, Shari, this is Andy Meyer at Baylor. I can't type fast enough, so I'm just going to verbally ask my question. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining. Really, really interesting stuff going on at Trinity. Really neat to hear about. Sounds like there's a real intentional push, which I think is needed to bring mind, body, and spirit together. We can't just rely on it to happen naturally. We kind of have to make a point. And so my question is, what are some of the things, or what are the biggest barriers that your students have identified even if they want to live a more holistic and healthy lifestyle, what are some of the things that they articulate as being big barriers to accomplishing that, even without your help, even without the efforts that the university is undertaking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many that they throw out there. And I'll even go back to what Matt said in his presentation right before me. Time is always, of course, their excuse, if you will. Money, the college students, they always think they're poor and they don't have money to eat well or money to get a car, to get to a job or get to church or whatever. It's so time and money, I'd say, were the two biggest ones. But I also say, I mean, our Trinity is very diverse in the number of denominations that we have. Like, we have a very diverse background of kids. We've had all over the place, which I love. I think that's a great thing because it really kind of, we can learn from each other. And I think that it's just learning about those opportunities and those things that we can do in service to Christ. Some kids, that just doesn't even pop into their mind. So, I mean, I often think of myself as just a seed planter. That's what I'm here for, to plant some seeds, and hopefully they grow, and that's where they go after they graduate. I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question, but.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions or comments for Shari? We're a quiet group. It may be because we're getting close to lunchtime, but you definitely had a presentation that kept us awake, so that was wonderful. All right? I'm just checking. I think that's it. Well, if there are no other questions, then I think we're good to go. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.